Hi, I'm Demi.
And I'm Mel.
And we are the Mel and Demi Show. Mel, before we get into today's interview, I want to ask you, have you ever heard of CDKL5?
I haven't heard of CDKL5. Have you?
Nope. And up to this moment, before today, we hadn't really known a lot about it and we hadn't heard a lot about it. So today's interview is a bit different for us. It's more about learning, educating, raising awareness and supporting. So it's a bit of a different one for us today.
Absolutely, but I do think this is definitely not an interview to miss. We have a very special guest with us. Her name is Mel. Yes, there's two Mels in the room.
Yes.
Please welcome Mel. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you
I'm
guys?
Good,
very
thank
well,
you.
thank you. Tell us, who is Mel?
Who is Mel?
Who is Mel? We want to know a little bit about you.
It's a hard question, sorry.
We want to know a little bit about who you are.
Okay, so Mel is a mum and a wife. I'm 34 years old. I work at a gym. I studied acting.
Cool.
I became a professional actress for a while, but then gave up because I wanted to buy a house, and now I'm a family woman.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you here with us. So to talk about it, start by telling us, what is CDKL5?
Okay, so CDKL5 is a very rare genetic disorder. It's part of the X chromosome. It's a protein that's on our X chromosome that we all have. So as long as it's not mutated, we can talk, we can walk, we can function, we can connect our brain to our limbs, and we can move and react to those sort of things, and we can also see, we can cortically see. When that gene is mutated, or that protein is mutated, it basically affects all those things. So it affects our speech, our mobility, our vision. We get seizures, which is drug resistant.
Okay, so tell us why do you know about CDKL5?
I'm going to tear up now.
That's all right. This is a safe space.
Absolutely.
So my daughter Annabelle is 16 months old. So she was diagnosed with this at 4 months old. It came about, she was born, everything was great, perfect pregnancy. Got all tests done, everything came back normal and healthy. And then at 3 weeks old, she started having seizures. At 5 weeks old, she was diagnosed with epilepsy. We were in the hospital and we were there for a long time because there was nothing helping her. At one stage, actually, I thought she was going to die. She had, I think it was 6 or 7 seizures in the space of 20 minutes. And
Awful for a parent to see that.
yeah.
And prior to that, have you ever dealt with seizures or anything like that, or this was completely new?
My only experience with seizures before this, and it's not even an experience, but my husband's cousin passed away from a seizure over 35 years ago.
Okay.
And I never knew him, but I knew of his story.
Yeah.
So when I found out my daughter had epilepsy, I was very scared because that was my only experience with seizures and epilepsy.
So did you notice any signs before the diagnosis for the epilepsy, or did you notice any changes? And it'd be hard as a parent because is it just Annabelle that you have? You have other kids as well.
Yes, I've got Julieta, so she's 4.5 as well.
Beautiful.
And she's amazing. So look, before she had seizures, she was 3 weeks old, so no, I didn't see anything different. Before she was diagnosed with CDKL5 though at 4 months. At about 2 months old was when I started to see her delays.
Okay.
She couldn't physically lift her neck up in prone or in tummy time. And that was when I started to see. And she also wasn't looking at anything.
Okay.
It was almost like she was blind. I remember Julieta, and the only reason why I knew this was because I wasn't a first-time mum.
Yeah.
But I remember Julieta looking at us and reacting to things even at that age.
Yeah.
Isn't there certain milestones that kids have to meet anyway? They can, with their speech, even just like movement, standing, crawling.
Yes, all that sort of stuff. So I noticed how floppy she was from about 2 months old.
Yeah. And talk us through the diagnosis process, because it's such a rare disease. Was it something that they knew straight away, or did it take a lot of work for them to try and figure it out, or how did it go?
Yeah, it took a lot of work to figure it out. Yeah, We are very lucky, and I don't take for granted that we did get a diagnosis quite early.
Yeah.
A few years ago, she wouldn't have been diagnosed so early. So basically, she did like EEGs on the head, MRI scans. They checked the chemical imbalances in her head, vitamin B, because apparently if you're vitamin B deficient, you can also have seizures.
Okay.
So, yeah, they checked. Yeah. Didn't know this.
Yeah.
They checked all this sort of stuff, but they did a big genetic epileptic panel.
Yeah.
And that took, I think, about 8 weeks or something. I think they've done it 5 weeks, and we got the results at 4 months. So roughly 3 months to get those results back. And what it is, it basically tests for all the genetic causes of epilepsy that they know of.
Okay.
And we got those results.
So talk us through a little bit now with obviously having the diagnosis made, which it sounds like you've had a lot of support of really good doctors, I'm sure.
Great, fantastic doctors. Yes.
And what was the treatment plan for Annabelle?
So treatment plan, there isn't much medically we can do for her. It's more about physio and therapy and occupational therapy, speech therapy, vision therapy. So this girl works so hard.
Your videos are so inspiring.
Yeah,
they are amazing. And one you just posted even just yesterday, I was saying to Demi, and I go, how cool is it of things that you do, and you just are so dedicated. And you're seeing this little girl, and she's so cute. My gosh, you just want to like kiss her and squeeze her. She's gorgeous. But yeah, so it's a lot of dedication and constant physio. And tell us a little bit more about the types of things that you do with Annabelle.
Okay, so the biggest thing for her would be her vestibular. So your core comes from your vestibular. So vestibular is where you are in space. So every single morning we wake up and we do spins, and we go 8 one way, 8 the other way, then I turn her on the side, and then we spin again, and then I turn her on the other side, and then we spin again. And then straight from there, then I go into vision work. And then straight from there, we go into oral motor skills.
Yeah.
And then straight from there, we go to commando crawling.
Yep.
And then we go into more vestibular, more eye work, and then I work on her tactile. So Annabelle doesn't feel a lot.
Okay.
So I do this vibration all over her body. On me and you, it would be rough. It would be very, very rough for us. But I've got to put it on the highest settings just to get a reaction from her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually, we're starting to get reactions now from it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She looks like, she's really responding.
Yes.
To everything.
Yeah, she's really starting to respond, which is just amazing. And then we do, we've got some amazing therapists as well. We go to Melbourne for a therapist, and he taught us all these power plate exercises. If there's any mums out there, Chad Timmermans, he's amazing.
Yeah.
For special needs. So she does squats on the power plate, standing, weight shifting through her legs. She does push-ups and push-ups, basically on all fours, rocking back and forth. And then she also does CME exercises with her therapist at Sparks Development, Beck and Terry. I couldn't live without these two.
Yeah. What's for anybody who doesn't know what CME is, what's that? Just explain that. Is it is it a type of exercise?
It's a type of exercise.
Okay.
It was developed by some guy in Chile.
Okay.
For kids with neurological diseases, and he puts them in a position where they have to move. And they have to use their reflexes.
Oh, wow.
So forward or push up, all this sort of stuff. So we've been very, very lucky. And then my other therapist, Kate, works on a lot of her cognitive and her awareness and attention. So she still has seizures. She's still got a global developmental delay. She still has hypertonia, which is low muscle tone.
Yeah.
But the only real treatment is her therapy. So that's why I take it very seriously.
We can see that you do just watching your page. Mel, talk us through when she got diagnosed. What were some of the things you were thinking and feeling? Was it a shock? Was it what were you feeling?
The honest truth. When she got diagnosed, I took it in. I went home, started googling, and I thought, cancer would have been better. That was my honest to God thoughts of this. I thought she's doomed to a horrible life. The honest truth is, if you're pregnant and you find out your child has CDKL5, it would definitely be a strong conversation on whether or not you'll keep the baby.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth.
That's
No,
what you were
that's-
feeling.
that's it.
And probably
Yeah.
a lot of people, like people that have been in a similar situation, would go through that same thought process.
Yes.
So how did you work through that? Like from when you felt she's doomed, like how did you work through that?
I went into mum mode.
Yeah.
And just started working. Just started talking to other. I connected to other mums straight away. Found the best therapists that I could find.
Yeah.
And there's no treatment for it. So
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's just work. And I also come from a personal training background.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, let's just work, girl. Let's
Yeah.
just sit
Yeah.
and do. Let's just.
That's true mum mode.
Yeah.
Just touching on, how you're saying you thought that, cancer would have been better, but tell us, how rare is this disease? Because for people who don't know about it, they need to know it. It's really, it is a very, very rare condition.
I keep seeing different statistics. Like they keep saying one. They think, and they're not sure. They think 1 in 75,000.
Wow.
This is sort of what we're thinking.
Okay.
Because it's a new protein that they've only just recently found. They think that there's a lot more people and children out there who are just not diagnosed with it,
Yeah.
and they're just diagnosed with a global developmental delay, and don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Now that they've found it, there's a lot more babies getting diagnosed with this. So they think 1 in 75,000.
Yeah.
I think 1 in 1,000.
Yeah. But it's either way, it's a very
rare,
rare
yeah.
disease.
Yeah.
And Mel, talk to us about Team Annabelle. So Mel, for anyone that doesn't know, has an Instagram page that is called Team Annabelle, which is just amazing and so inspiring. Talk to us, why did you create that? What does it mean to you?
Well, first of all, I started off being private.
Yes.
And it was just my Instagram, and I just changed it.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know how to start.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Typical mum.
And it started off just for me,
Yeah.
just for me to just sort of have a space where I can look back on her progress. So
Yes.
I can, it's just one space with all the videos.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. Very recently, we went public a couple of weeks ago. And I was sort of freaking out a bit. I'm like, what if someone understood our identity?
Yeah.
And my husband goes, you're not Kardashian.
The life of Instagram.
I mean, I'm not like, but it's just amazing sharing her progress. And everyone who meets Annabelle becomes a better person for it.
100%. 100%. Well, we've been following very closely, like I said before. Demi and I, we think that what you're doing and sharing that little bit of awareness is really, really important, and it's very inspiring. Tell us, with all these therapies that you're doing, did you sort of defy the odds with these doctors, or what the doctors have told you?
Yes. Yeah, so it's so Annabelle, so there's a big spectrum of CDKL5. And just sort of in a nutshell, Annabelle's protein is a nonsense protein, and it stops very early on in the protein. So technically, they're still sort of learning about it, but the further on the protein that is mutated, the better the life.
Okay.
I guess you're on the milder end of the spectrum. Annabelle's quite early on.
Yeah.
So Annabelle can sit unassisted, and she can also hold her neck up.
Oh, wow.
And she can also stay in 4 points for about 30 seconds as well.
Wow. Amazing.
And she stood for 4 seconds.
And so those are all things that
The
they said
doctor
she would be able to.
Well, her neurologist said to me, don't let anybody tell you what your daughter can do. He's
Yeah.
very, very good, and he said that to me. However, he was very pleasantly surprised when he saw her at her last visit.
Yeah.
I get, because a lot of these kids are also tube fed.
Yeah.
And Annabelle eats through the mouth, and we're very aware that this could change at any time. Seizures can sort of make a lot of children forget how to swallow. So
Yeah.
which is why we trying to get on top of them. But he was very pleasantly surprised when I gave her food. She took it from my hand, put it to her mouth. Like she had that coordination. Yeah, she's rolling back and forth.
Yeah.
So-
Even the videos of her, I think the one I watched was her eating a piece of steak.
Yes.
You just get it's so crazy, but you just get so happy because you're like,
Yeah.
it's such a big thing for her to be able to, and she looked like she was loving it.
Yeah.
It was so special. Mel, because you have another child, because you have your other daughter, Has that been hard trying to manage, like having 2 kids, one with special needs, one without? Like, how has that been hard to how has it been to manage?
I honest truth is, I feel like sometimes I fail in Juliana.
Yeah.
So there's some days where, so she goes to daycare 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And then the day that she's not at daycare, like, sometimes she's just sitting for TV
Yeah.
ABC Kids, because I'm just in and out of, Daniel works from home, I'm just in and out with appointments, doing her therapy from home.
And you're still working.
I work a few nights a week. Look, I'm
Yeah.
not working a lot. Like, it's just more for my own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get away. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But next week, Julietta and I are going to Gold Coast.
Aww.
We're having a Julietta Yes week. So
Oh,
yeah, so I think she needs a bit of one-on-one time. Yeah.
And does she understand what Annabelle has, or does she not understand, or what? 'Cause she's still quite young.
Yeah, so Annabelle's got a cousin the same age
Okay, yeah.
as her, and Julietta has definitely noticed the difference. She says,
Okay.
why can't I play peekaboo with Anthony and I can't with Annabelle? Like,
Yes,
he knocks and she doesn't, and that sort of thing. And I've explained it to her the best way I can.
Yeah.
But she says to me, she goes, no, there's nothing wrong with Annabelle. Like, she's
Yeah.
arguing with me, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. She goes, I love her. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's how she knows her. So to her, there is nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean?
It's just normal for her.
Yeah.
How has this process shaped you as a person, Mel? Yeah, have you found that you've sort of become stronger and more wiser, or you turn into typical mum mode? And we see these quotes of like things about mums and families. And it's so true.
So there was obviously that you go through a mourning period
Yes.
of your child's life, basically, which is going to miss out on, and what's her life going to look like. But then you start to get really grateful for
To have.
what I have. Like,
Yeah.
we have NDIS in this country.
Yes.
Yes, we have to fight to get it, but we have it, and I don't take that for granted at all. We make sure we use NDIS. We use, we've got amazing therapists in this country. We make sure we utilise them. We've got testing in this country. We've got great hospitals. Everything. I don't take for granted where we are. I mean, in a third world country, if you get this, it'd be quite scary, I think.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, Mel, what's NDIS?
National Disability Insurance Scheme.
Yes.
So where you get money to help with your day-to-day life. So we get money for therapies, we get money for assistive equipment.
So you get that financial support.
Yes. Yeah, to help with that therapies.
Oh, that's awesome. It's awesome that we have access to something like that.
Yes, because there's no way I'd be able to afford.
Yeah.
what we're
Ongoing
doing.
treatment,
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
cost. It's a
It's
lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
On top of everything, it sucks that you have to also worry about financially.
Yeah.
So at least that eases one side
It
of it.
definitely, it definitely does. We're very lucky to be in a country where we have this.
Exactly. And Mel, what are some things that for other mums that are, or any parent, doesn't have to be a mum, anyone, carer, whoever is dealing with kind of the same things you're going through and dealing with on day to day? What are some words of encouragement you can give them on how to keep going when they want to give up? Like, what do you do? What gets you through those hard days that are a struggle?
I'm not, I've got my faith.
Yeah.
I'm not religious, but I definitely have my
Yeah.
faith. And one thing that has, I guess, gotten me through is that, God chose me to be Annabelle's mum.
Yeah.
Or Annabelle chose me to be her mum. Her soul chose me.
Yeah.
And so I need to live up to that.
Yeah.
They chose me for a reason.
Yeah.
To be her mum, and I'm not going to let her down. And I'm going to do the best I can.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. And you're doing an amazing job.
Amazing job.
Yeah, definitely an inspiration for everyone that would see your page.
100%.
Definitely go look at it because it's amazing.
That's it. So how can we get people involved and help with Team Annabelle?
Yeah, is there because it's rare, is there a foundation that supports this, or how does
obviously, they can go to your page and have a look at her progress, and is there anything beyond and further that we can help out and create more awareness with
I think it's just talking about it.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's just talking about it. I mean, for example, cerebral palsy. A lot of people don't know too much about cerebral palsy,
Yes.
but you've heard of it.
Yes.
You've definitely heard of cerebral palsy. CDKL5 is just a bunch of syllables to people.
Yeah.
What is that? So
Yeah.
I think it's just talking about it, awareness, acceptance. We do have Telethon Kids in Perth that have done a lot of research towards Rett syndrome and CDKL5 and other rare diseases. And then in America, we've got the IFCR as well, which these mums started the IFCR.
Oh, wow.
And it's a big CDKL5 foundation.
Yeah.
So there is those things, I guess, if anybody wanted to look at financially helping, but it's more about awareness and acceptance and bringing these people out of the institutions. And
you have a group of mums that you talk to?
Yes.
How's that? How are those conversations?
Very honest.
Which is probably really good.
I've got these two best friends at the moment. One's in America, California, one's in Canada.
Yeah.
We've got a little WhatsApp group. And they have become my rock. So their daughters are roughly the same age as Annabelle.
Yeah.
A little bit older, but like all roughly the same age. And we're all basically going through the exact same journey.
Yeah.
We talk about therapies and what other people have said. And it's really sad. Like, so when a child passes away of CDKL5, it hits us, all of us.
Of course,
And we're actually just talking about it on the way here.
Okay.
A little girl in America who passed away of CDKL5 and like why they died and what we can do. It's just, we just, like, these girls are my best friends.
It'd be so beautiful to have that support because it's hard. It's hard for people to understand, even though they try, when they're not going through probably the same thing that you're going through. But for someone that is going through the exact same thing, and you can talk to them and they can understand the day to day of what you do and what and you can also bounce off each other of what each other's doing and what you can do differently or what you can try. I think that support's really amazing to have.
Yeah, that's been.
Yeah. On that note, what are some things that people say to you as a special needs mum that, like, what are some things that you hear that you're like, it just blows your mind?
Yeah,
or,
don't think
like, what are some things that you hear? Like, what?
So a lot of people do try and give me advice.
Yes.
Which is fine and they mean well, but
Everyone's an expert in everything.
A quick Google and then they've got all the answers.
Yeah.
People have said to me, will she grow out of this? A lot of people ask me about CBD oil, which obviously I'm looking into, but it's not the best for CDK5. People have asked, is it because she got vaccinated? Is that why she's got this genetic condition?
Okay.
She actually got some seizures before any vaccination.
Yeah.
It's just out there.
Yeah.
Anti-vaxxers out there.
I think it's just people are just maybe not as educated in understanding.
Yeah. And I've had someone say to me, like, you really found your calling.
Yeah.
That's
Brilliant.
Someone said to me, oh wow, like you love a challenge, you'll be great at this. Someone said that, and it's
trying to be
they're
encouraging.
trying to be
but
encouraging. And I'm like,
And what are some of the things, just for people to educate people? What are some of the things that are helpful for you to hear? Like to turn it, like what is something like what's something helpful that you like to hear that encourages you instead of makes you kind of like is a good encouragement?
When people follow Annabelle and they tell me how much she inspires them, that is everything to me.
Yeah.
Like a few friends have just come and brought over food. that was like so big for us. Like that was massive. When we got back from Melbourne and we did a big physio intensive in Melbourne, and the day we got back, let's figure out cooking and dinner, and I don't want to Uber Eats. And my mum came over and she brought a lasagna. I'm like, oh, thank you. Like it's just food is such a big one.
Yeah. And you'd have very limited time, so stuff like that will really help you.
Yeah, that's a big help. Yeah.
And what's your family like? How did they kind of process it? And what's their support like? Are they understanding, or what's it like? Because it would be hard for them if they haven't known anything about it and
especially
experienced
as well. Trying to be at home and work. And he's full time working.
Yes. Yeah. He used to travel a lot for work.
Okay.
But he got into another diagnosis. He stayed within the same company.
Yep.
But got into a work staying more in Sydney.
Yep.
I remember he went to Japan after I can't remember, she had epilepsy. I can't remember if she had diagnosed CDK5 yet. And as soon as he left, she started seizuring, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm be out of Sydney right now.
Yeah.
So after that, he started looking for another job. I think family had to go through their own mourning period as well.
Yep.
I mean, it's my granddaughter. and it's been, I guess, hard for everyone to accept and look at. My mum was convinced she was going to grow out of this for a long time, and now I guess you look at her and then you look at my nephew the same age.
Yeah.
You can see quite a big difference.
Yeah.
And I think they're still they're coming to terms with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's probably gonna still be a process. For them.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's one of those things that I think if it's gonna happen to anyone, I honestly feel like I'm the best mom for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's like, why not me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why not me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to watch. It's been amazing to have you here. It's amazing to know more about CDKL5. We hadn't heard of it beforehand. And now, knowing how rare it is and that you've actually given us a little bit of insight to the fact you defied some odds from doctors. She has had improvements, and we really look forward to continuing to watch her journey because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're amazing, Mel.
Oh, you guys are
know?
amazing. I love you guys. I love following you guys.
It's been so nice having you.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, Mel, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you'd like to say about it, or any last words that you'd like to say just around this
I
topic?
would like to say that I love your Instagram games.
Thank you.
I love when you do those stories and you're like, let's play games.
We love games.
To your page to find out.
Well, we're glad that makes you smile.
That's it. We'll keep those games coming, Mel, don't worry. That's
Thank you
amazing.
so much for joining us. It's been really special. And head to Team Annabelle
Absolutely.
to find out more and support Annabelle's journey. That's all it's about.
Share the awareness, speak about it, talk about it. And if you know anyone that's going through it, just ask them how they're doing and maybe go and take a plate of lasagna.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I'm Demi.
And I'm Mel.
And this was
The
the
Mel
Mel
and
and Demi
Demi
Show.
Show.